What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about the top 5 Norwegian stereotypes. Now, to be perfectly honest, a lot of Americans don't know enough about Norway to even form a stereotype. But if I absolutely had to rack my brain and think about stereotypes of Norway, it'd probably just be lumping in American stereotypes of Europeans being like stoic and serious and having all sorts of like, oh, being conscious about social welfare types of things and just like honestly not even that negative of things associated with Norwegians. So I am interested what this YouTuber says are the top 5 Norwegian stereotypes and whether I agree with those or not. And I'm also just curious to hear about this in general. So let's take a look. Top 5 Norwegian stereotypes.
Today I'm going to try to debunk the top 5 Norwegian stereotypes that I heard before I came to Norway. So let's get into this.
Number 5.
Everything in Norway is covered with snow and ice.
Huh.
Okay.
Well, okay. Okay, that's reasonable. I think if you went to an American and asked them if Norway is hot or cold or what, if you made it really simple for them, they'd be like, oh, Norway's really cold, winter. So this probably is a stereotype, yeah.
Well, I'll admit the winters are a bit cold here for me because, well, I originally came from Southern California, born and raised. So, yeah, weather conditions are extremely different. In California, we have couple seasons, I guess. We have summer and spring is the easiest way to do it. I mean, there are also for southern, Los Angeles County type things. There's other jokes we have.
I would think that for the most part, wherever you are in the United States, it's going to be pretty drastically different than Norway. Although, depending on where you live in Norway, the winter can be drastically different, right?
Summer, we have fire, we have spring, and we have floods and mudslides. So that's I think the 4 seasons of California, right? Yeah. So in Norway, we have actual 4 real seasons. We have the 4 changing of the seasons, which I think is great. It's something I was never really used to, and I'm very happy to have that experience. I did have a little bit before I moved to Norway. I was up in Oregon for.
Okay, this guy's experience living in the United States is kind of unique because he lived in California, where it's a little like extreme, the types of weather and climate that they experience. But I'd say on average in America, I'd say I experience the 4 seasons.
A couple years, which I did get the nice feel of what it's like to have some true seasons, so that was great. But here in Norway, it is the real deal. So we get the full-blown winter where it is covered in snow and ice, and it gets cold. For me, what is cold? Well, when it's below 0 Celsius, it's you're looking in the negative temperatures for me. That's frozen because back in California, -2 I think was the.
I think without a doubt, the Norwegian winter has to be way more extreme than any winter that an American ever experiences.
Record of cold. So average winter temperature as cold in the middle of the nights is like +8 Celsius, and yeah, that's cold for me. So even summer here is relatively cold. But that being said, right now summertime is a pretty average 15 to 20 degrees Celsius, which is actually on the colder side from what I've been told.
15 degrees Celsius. 15 Celsius to Fahrenheit? 59. Okay, 15 Celsius is not bad. That's not bad.
It normally gets up into the mid 25s to even 30s sometimes. So
Okay.
it does get warm here. Also, during the summertime, you have sun almost the entire 24 hours. It does dip down below the horizon.
That is so crazy. That is one of the craziest things about Norway, I think. You can have sun the entire day. Or you can have nighttime the entire day, right? In certain places. I had absolutely no idea that was possible.
I'm south enough, like close to Oslo, so where we do get some night, but it's never full 100% darkness. The sun sets somewhere around 11:30 and up again at 3:30. So yeah, there's a lot of sun. That means there's a lot of green.
What? I guess this is just something you get used to growing up in Norway.
No snow, no ice. There is a lot of rain this season, though. Seems like every other day it's rain, then sun, rain, then sun. That's just kind of weird, but that's the way it is, and that's normal. So we do have 3 seasons where it's not typical to have snow and ice.
Okay, so I guess to his point, where Americans would stereotype Norway as just always this frozen wasteland of cold, and to his point, that is not true. There are decent seasons and periods of time where it's warm or hot, or the sun is out all day.
Number 4.
All Norwegians are pro skiers. Okay, when it comes to the Winter Olympics, it's easy to assume that Norway is definitely full of pros.
Hey, I gotta say, I've learned a bit about this. And this is, yes, not all Norwegians are pro skiers, but a lot of Norwegians ski. A lot of the best skiers on the planet are Norwegian. Norwegian dominates the Winter Olympics in skiing. This is sort of a stereotype, but sort of not. This is kind of true. Norway is obsessed with skiing in the best way possible.
They hold first place in the all-time medals of the Winter Olympics with like 329 total medals, 118 of them being gold. I think United States was the next one, and it was almost 100 medal difference. So
Yeah.
and that's the all-time Olympics. So yeah, it is safe to assume that they're really good at it, and I will
Yeah.
also say that it is a very favorite pastime during the winter. And for
That is what I understand. That skiing is like a national pastime in Norway.
some, it's also a favorite pastime during the summer times. And how do you probably wonder how they do that? Well, they have these skis with rollers on them that people use. So there's a lot of that going on. But you know what?
I had never heard of that before learning about Norway. That you can ski in the summer on these roller skis. I gotta check that out. I gotta see more about that.
It is. Norwegians love to stay fit, from what I can see. In general, as a culture, they're always on the move. They like to hike and ski and play soccer, football.
That's good, by the way. To that to be a description of the culture, someone would say. I think that's really good. That Norwegians are healthy, on the move. Kind of different than the United States, unfortunately.
And just do sports in general. Very active people. I see people all over the place jogging and whatnot. So yeah, in general, very active people. But I've met a lot of Norwegians that don't ski. They either don't know how, they don't care for it, or it's just not something they're interested in. So yeah, not all Norwegians are pro skiers. A lot of them are great though.
Okay, so this is kind of true, kind of false, I guess. Is there a stat on this? How much of Norway skis? Oops. I don't know if this is going to work or not. 70% of Norwegians have one pair of cross-country skis that they use. That's a lot. What percentage of Norwegians can ski? 25 to 24%? Okay, so saying that all Norwegians ski is a big exaggeration. But even if 1 out of 4 Norwegians ski, that is a lot. That is a big part of the population.
Number 3.
All Norwegians are Vikings. All right. Well, first
Okay.
off, Viking is not a race. It's more of a lifestyle or kind of a group of people.
Right. I guess some Americans would relate Norway to Vikings. Yeah. Scandinavian area. Yeah, this is kind of true as a stereotype. Yeah.
So there was also farmers and hunters and all sorts of other different things. So yeah, that's
Well, that reminds me of a different stereotype that I just remembered. Well, it has to do with this. Some Americans stereotype Norwegians as being massive, strong, tall, sort of Viking brutes. That is a stereotype that I've heard of.
not necessarily true. And technically, Vikings are an extinct group of people. I will say, of course, if you track back somebody's ancestry in Norway, you'll find that probably a lot of them do have ancestral connections to the Vikings.
Okay.
But not just in Norway, of course, because they were in Scandinavia, but they also branched out all over the place. So, they
Right.
even, were in the Americas because they were the first non-natives to go to America. I guess technically discover the Americas, and they were in
Yeah, these stereotypes, I didn't think of some of these. But there is some truth that Americans do think this. That it's cold, that there's Vikings, that everyone skis. Okay, okay. This video is better than I thought it would be.
United Kingdom zone and Ireland and all that, and they were also in the Middle Eastern areas and down southern Europe and Africa and all over the world. So Vikings were everywhere. Of course, concentrated here, but they were, explorers, and they like to get out and do the thing. And look at Vikings. I mean, they're pretty much known for, unfortunately, rape and robbery. It's the easiest.
I mean, I'd like to know from a Norwegian's point of view what they think of Viking culture and Viking history as it relates to Norway. Are Norwegians really proud of their Viking heritage? Or is that a thing that they think about? Is it something that they like to express that they're proud of? Or do they not really care about it? Or what? I'd be interested to hear what Norway and Norwegians think about this.
Way to put it. So yeah, not all Norwegians are like that. So, anyways, the Norwegians are not Vikings. They do have the heritage, but they don't do what the Vikings used to do.
Number 2.
Okay, I don't think anyone actually thought Norwegians are sitting around right now with horns and helmets and swords on longboats raiding villages. I don't think anyone thought that, but I get the sentiment here.
There are polar bears roaming the streets of Norway. Yeah. Well, here's the fact.
Huh. I don't know about this one. This one's a bit of a stretch. I've never heard any American talk about polar bears taking over Norway. It is kind of funny, though.
There are no wild polar bears on the continental mainland of Norway.
Oh.
They live on an island named Svalbard.
Oh, I didn't know that there were no polar bears. Wait, there's an entire island of polar bears? What? What? I kind of want to... What is this? Norway Polar Bear Island? Bear Island? What? What are they all doing on that island? All right, I'll have to look at that later. What?
And that is far north between the mainland and the North Pole. So they are living in their North Pole-ish zone, which is pretty much common territory for a polar bear.
Huh.
So yeah, there are no polar bears that are roaming the street. I mean, really, you think that Norwegians have polar bears as pets or something?
That actually kind of scared me for a second.
Number 1.
Norwegians are mean or antisocial people.
Okay. I don't know about this. I don't think Americans believe Norwegians are mean. They might think Norwegians can be antisocial, but that's like I was saying, that's just kind of a thing Americans think about Europeans, that they're antisocial or more laid back and more reserved than Americans, basically, which I think there's a little truth to, and honestly, I think it's actually a good thing.
I actually have read this in several what to expect when moving to Norway guides. And in my experience, this cannot be further from the truth.
Well, I do know that once you actually get to know Norwegians and develop friendships and relationships, they're just like normal people. Very friendly, very welcoming, just like normal. So that's an important distinction.
Norwegians are open, caring people, very warm, they have a very strong sense of community and family values. However, Norwegians are also very fond of their personal space. So I think where these guys get this kind of their mean or unwelcoming people is if you run into a Norwegian on the streets or in public transportation settings, those type of stuff, it's not common for them to want to just strike a conversation. In the States, it's very common for us. If we sit next to somebody or if we bump into somebody or even just passing someone on the street, if we meet eyes, we're going to say hi. How's it going?
Right. So I actually think there's a little truth to this. It's not really a stereotype, it's just like a cultural difference. Americans can't keep their mouth shut, they have to keep talking. If they're uncomfortable, they'll just talk, they'll say something to try to get more comfortable. Whereas Norwegians are just chill, and it's like, it's all good. We all have our personal space, we all respect each other. If we're friends or if we have something to say, then we'll say it and be great. But there is a difference between, average American sort of interactions and going out and Norwegian interactions. And I think that's fine. I think it's cool that Norway's like that, actually.
Going. Does that mean we want to make conversation? No, but it's just like the acknowledgement thing. Or sometimes, yeah, we do get in and start talking about more. And some people in the United States, you might find they'll share a little bit too much of themselves. But that's our culture. So just like we have that culture in Norway, they have their culture. And it's more of if they don't have something to actually say to you, they're not going to want to make eye contact and start talking. It's not because they're not warm or anything. It's because they don't have something. They're not just going to randomly come up with stuff to talk about. It's just,
I like that. It makes Norwegians sound more authentic, like genuine. Like they mean what they say, and they're not just saying random crap for the sake of no reason, which Americans are apt to do.
not the way it is. Also on a bus or train or something like that, if there's empty seats around, they're going to look for the one empty seat that is alone, and so they can sit alone if they are alone. Don't make it, don't go out of your way to go and sit next to the one person, especially if there's other open seats with where you can sit alone too, because yeah, that's just the way it is.
I do that in America. I always go try to get it alone, try to get away from people. So I'm that way as well.
It's not that they're mean or anything like that. It's just that is the way the culture is. So yeah, stopping someone on the street to talk to them or just say hi, you're probably going to get that kind of cold feeling, but it's not because they're cold people. It's just because they don't know you and they're feeling uncomfortable. It's just not their culture. So there's that.
Okay, yeah. So there's some truth to this, but like he's saying, it's not because Norwegians are rude. It's just normal.
So there you have it. Hopefully I've been able to debunk a couple of the stereotypes that you've heard of and make you feel a little bit more comfortable to come visit Norway. So yeah, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments.
Okay. Interesting. I enjoyed this. I did. This was by Norwich. I gotta give this a like. I liked that a lot. What do the comments say? Any Norwegians here in the comments? Norwegians are being nice by respecting others' privacy and minding their own business. True. The thing about most Norwegians is they respect other people's privacy. Right. It's all about the Norwegians' interpretation of being polite and how Americans interpret being polite. And it's different. And that's okay. Different places. What do we do? What we got here? You can't imagine how happy I am that you used Celsius. Okay. I had to do the little Google translate to Fahrenheit, so he's kind of calling me out there. Thank you so much. You have no idea how it has been to see people disappointed at how quiet and reserved Norwegians are. Huh. Man, people really just do need to learn about other cultures and stuff. I'd hate to see anyone actually offended by how Norwegians act. And if you're going to another culture, another country, you really do, it is really your responsibility to learn about what is socially accepted. As a Norwegian, I feel like 90% of the year is cold and winter. Yeah, see, there's some truth to this. It is like, there is a lot of winter in Norway, especially compared to the United States, so I think there's some truth in that one as well. But anyway, I enjoyed these little stereotypes. These did turn out to be more common than I thought, which was very interesting. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And also, if you're interested in more reactions, me and my twin brother have started doing reactions together on the same channel. A link should be here, floating next to me. A link if you're looking for more fun content. If you feel like watching something else, feel free to check that out. Should be fun. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you next time.